Howdy everyone, this is Tricia and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how I put together this coffee pot floral arrangement. Alright everyone, so the container that I'm going to be using is what I just showed you. It is this coffee pot. So I have this tin red coffee pot that I've had for years, and I just had it up on a shelf in my kitchen. I didn't have anything in it. It was just being used as a decorative item. To be honest with you, I don't know if it can actually be used for coffee, but it is metal tin, so I think it could be. But this is what I'm going to use. If you don't have something like this, you can use like a little watering can or any other container that you might have in your kitchen or in somewhere in your home that you feel like, oh, this would be nice for an arrangement. But this is what I have, and I have cleaned it off because it did have some grease buildup on it from being in the kitchen. Alright, so then I also have these sunflowers. These sunflowers are leftover from other projects. I'm going to be using pretty much leftovers from other projects. I love sunflowers, and I think they look great in contrast with the red in the coffee pot, as you can see here. It has a really nice country feel to it, and I love that. I also have these leftover bits of fillers, so I'm going to be incorporating those as well into my arrangement. So I've got my focal flower and then my filler flowers, and then of course I'm going to need some greenery, and I've got these, and I have some bits here that have already been cut off, but this is what the initial vine looked like. I believe I got all these florals from Hobby Lobby, and I believe I got my coffee pot many years ago from Michael's. Okay, so then we're also going to be needing some styrofoam, and I have a little block of styrofoam here. Any leftover piece, or if you have a couple, you can put them together to put inside of your container. I did get this from the Dollar Tree some time ago. Okay, for my tools, I have my wire cutters. I'm going to be using this little craft knife, possibly if the styrofoam is a little too big to push into there. I'm also going to be using my glue gun, and of course I've got some glue sticks ready. So let's get to crafting. Okay, so we're going to start by prepping our container, and that means to add styrofoam or any moss that we might want to put in there as well. I'm not going to be using any moss because I feel it's not even going to show, because it's going to be very deep, the styrofoam. So the first thing I'm going to decide is which direction do I want my styrofoam. I think this is the longest way, because this is a little too not wide enough or tall enough, so I'm going to use it like that. So I'm just going to compare it to my container, and I can see that I need to shave off a little bit. So I'm going to start off in the corners here and try not to shave too much, just a little bit, and that'll fit in there perfectly. So now I want to pour some hot glue inside of my container, so dropping some in there. Okay, I'm also putting some on my styrofoam, and then that just gets placed right inside. So there we are. We got some styrofoam in there, and it's not going to fall out. So we'll just give it a chance to dry, because we don't want to start putting anything in there and the glue's still wet, and then it gets moved around and the glue won't dry in its proper position. Instead, it'll just become like elasticy. So you want to let it dry. You can put some moss in there if you wish to do so. Okay. Alright, so when I put my flowers in there, I do want to have my lid kind of like it's a little bit closed, as if these stems have been growing out of the pot, and as the flowers have bloomed, they've pushed up the lid. I don't want it completely open like that, and obviously it's not going to be closed. If this was not attached to it, I would find a way to maybe glue a little dowel stick or something to this, and then insert it in here so that it would be, you know, propped up like that. But because it's attached, it's very easy to do this. Of course, you may have a container that doesn't have this at all, so you don't have to even worry about that thought. Okay, so I'm going to get my main flowers, my focal flowers. These are it, and they're kind of been cut at different lengths from when I took them off the bush. So this is the longest piece, and I'm going to use this a bit because the styrofoam is way in there. This flower is going to have to go like way deep in there like that, because we want to have at least 1.5 inches into the styrofoam. So maybe this leaf is kind of sort of going to be in the way. So we're going to remove that, and I'm just going to snip off that little bit right there. And I'm going to put that right in the middle. And I'm just going to push it in where it's at the height that I want. I want to push in about an inch and a half of my stem in there, so I can make sure that it is stable in there. But then I also want to see where this is going to go as far as the lid. So that is about a perfect little spot right there. Okay, so I want to bend the flower also. This is going to be where I'm going to view it from the front, from where I plan on putting it. It's not going to be a centerpiece. It's basically going to be placed in an area where it's up against the backsplash of my sink. So I think I'm only going to be seeing this part of it and not the back. So I'm not going to worry about too much about the back right now. Okay, so now I want to add my other two flowers. And I'm going to remove the leaves on the bottom of this stem. I'm only leaving this top one because it's really not even going to show. It's going to be way in there. And I don't want to clutter in there too much because I still have more greenery that I want to put. Okay, so this flower I kind of want it kind of, you know, dripping out of it. So I think this is a good position, plus whatever I have to push in. So I'm not even going to cut this, but you would trim it so that it would fit the height that you want, plus a little bit extra to push into the styrofoam. Okay, and then I have this smaller flower, and there's not much height to it. I'm going to remove the leaf off of it as well. Bend it. Now I got to see if this will fit right in here. Yes, it will, plus it'll have some room to push it in, and I'm going to put it facing out this way. So I'm basically making a little triangle here, if you will. So you can see this going like that. That is a triangle, so we want to form that in our arrangement. And then of course our little lid will kind of rest like that a little bit. We're going to put some other items in there to help this lid stay up, and we don't have to worry about it pushing down too much on this. It's not a very heavy lid, but you know, I just don't want it to push down on the flower too much. So we have to put some items here and up here in the front to fill in. So now I've got my filler flowers that I'm going to use next. Now let's see what I have here that's the longest pieces. And it's this yellow one here and probably these two purple. So we'll save these in a moment. So we're going to take this longer piece, but let me move my camera so you can see the height of the arrangement. Alright, so here we have this stem, and it's really long enough that it would go really well right behind this sunflower here. And the styrofoam that I have in there is about so high, so this about this much is going to go into it, so I don't have to trim it. But if it was too long, and if it, you know, depending on where I held it, let's say I wanted it to be this low and it's coming out off the, you know, beyond the bottom, then I would obviously snip that, but then I would snip it a little bit higher so that I would just have just enough to go into the styrofoam, because I don't need the whole thing to go all the way into the styrofoam. Okay, but this is a good height, maybe about so. I'm just going to trim off maybe an inch off of it, just so I don't have to push so much into the styrofoam. Okay, we're going to put this behind the sunflower, but remember this little lid is going to be going down, so I don't want it right here because then it's just going to get pushed. So I might as well put it in position, kind of off center it, and bend it a little bit so it kind of shoots out that way. And ever so often, because I do have this little lid, I'm going to be testing it to see where the next item can go. Okay, so I want something right here. And I do have more of this little yellow with the green. I kind of want this right here in the front, popping out. So right here, I'm going to push up these little leaves, bend it forward, and then compare it. The styrofoam's right about right here. So I just need a little bit to go into the styrofoam. So I'm going to trim off about almost 2 inches here. About 2 inches. That looks really pretty so far. I mean, that could be the finished product and we could just put some leaves in there, but I do have all these extra little stems that I want to use, and I said I wanted something to kind of shoot out this way. I don't want to cover the lid too much. So I'm just comparing it, and I need to cut off a little bit, just so that I'm not there, you know, pushing and pushing down and, you know, the stem to go into the styrofoam. I just need just the right amount. Okay, I'm going to push these leaves up because I did not do that. There we go. Now, is that going to hide? Let's put it forward a little bit. Okay, I decided that that is not a good position because it is completely hiding it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it under this sunflower here. insert it into the styrofoam there, because now it's sticking out right here. Because the lid was closing, so it was basically just crushing it in. So you just want to be testing it ever so often. And that's what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm going to put another one of these little purple ones just coming out the other side, kind of dripping out. Again, this is like really long, so I'm going to trim this as well. Okay, I do have more of these flowers, and I don't know if I need this. I'm going to remove all these leaves from the bottom part here. I don't think I need this, so I'm not going to add these. I can save them for another project. So now let's look at our greenery. Okay, so I've got these 3 pieces of greenery here. I've got this little stem that's got lots of leaves on it, and then I've got these 2 kind of viney bits that I want to put in there. Okay, this one right here I think would be great to place right here because it will hold up the lid some. So I think it's nice and full, and it'll fill in any gaps that when you're looking at it from the front, you can just see that there's some leaves back here. Okay, I'm going to put it right in there. And that's just perfect. That'll hold up that. Now, if you don't want to use greenery, you can use a piece of a dowel stick. If you have just about maybe about an 1/8 or a 1/4 inch diameter dowel rod, cut a nice long piece that you can push in there, and it'll hold right up the lid. So you can do that as well. Okay, I'm going to put some greenery kind of splashing out of it. So let's see. I kind of want this whole length because I want it to kind of wrap around a little bit to the front here. So all these leaves that are here in the bottom I don't need. So we're going to trim those off. And this is just enough to go into my styrofoam. Again, some glue. There we go. And position it. And thankfully it's nice and bendable because it does have wire in it. So then I can shape it to be dripping out is like that. I do have another piece. I think I'm just going to put it up here just to add some greenery in the background. And of course I'm just bending it so that it kind of, you can see it from the front of the arrangement. Let me bend this a little bit more. Making it sturdier. There we go. Okay. And there we are. Alright everyone, I have completed my coffee pot floral arrangement. So let me show you from the side here. And turn it around. The other side. And then the back so you can see the mechanics. Like I said, this is going to be facing the wall. It's going to go into a little corner behind my sink. But if you were going to make this a centerpiece, just bring some of those flowers, some of these sunflowers a little bit more separated, and bring them to the back, especially if you don't have very many. I like to use odd number of my focal flowers. So here I've got 3, but if I had another 2, they would go back here. Otherwise, because I've only got 3, I could just open them up a little bit more and then have used the other little pieces of the filler flowers and maybe some more greenery to fill it out. There we go. I would have loved to have had maybe some little blue flowers or maybe some little red flowers to add to this. I love the sunflowers, and I think the sunflowers are great, especially for summer, and of course you can work them into fall, and I think these colors really lend themselves for it. And of course it all depends on what kind of a container you might have. Maybe you have a coffee pot like this that you don't mind putting some glue in there and sticking your styrofoam down. Now I will let you know that hot glue doesn't stick very well to like cold items like metal and glass. So you're not going to be damaging your item. It's only going to hold it temporarily, and you can easily pull it out and easily scrape out any of that. So you're not going to be messing up anything if you use a metal or a glass container that way. So if you happen to have something, maybe it's an heirloom, You can use it for an arrangement. It'll work out just fine. This will also make a great gift. So I think if you wanted to put a bow here on the side, especially that Mother's Day is coming up, you can create something like this. All right, everyone, I think it looks really pretty. So I'm going to give myself a big old thumbs up. I hope that you too will give me a big old thumbs up and leave a nice comment down below. Please subscribe if you have already done so, and if you have, thank you very, very much, and I want to thank everyone that has been subscribing, but also make sure you hit that little bell for the notifications of when I upload my videos, which is twice a week. All right, everyone, make sure you share on your social medias, keep safe, and as always, enjoy.